My name is Lulu Saidi. I'm the host of Wow Radio the podcast. Wow Radio the podcast is a platform platform for constructive discussions, mainly among young people and also people who embody youthfulness by their ideas and their ideologies. And really, what Wow Radio is trying to do is not to create, but to show that indeed the marking scheme of life has changed. And it is okay if, for instance, you're in your mid-30s and you're looking for, to start in the world of work, because it does happen. We lost a few years of COVID, and then there is kutafuta kazi. Before you knew it, you're already in your mid-30s, And so you shouldn't feel, for instance, locked out by HR because of that. And we hope to have conversations with HR where we tell them, hey, things have changed. Not only with HR, with policymakers, decision makers, and really talk about the embodiment of that new marking scheme in a way that makes young people not feel like they are lagging behind because they are marking themselves against their parents' lives, So, for instance, there's this concept that by the time my mom was my age, she had all her kids, and here I am, not even in a relationship, So many people are feeling like, I'm not saying here I am, no, I'm saying, this is an example, yeah? And so many people are feeling like they are behind, but it does not mean that. And the more you hear of stories just like those, the more you learn that, hey, it's okay. And what can we do to make this our lives that we're living now comfortable? A childhood story.
Yes.
Okay. So as you can see, I got big eyes. So in my family, people tease a lot and they like to joke really a lot. So I was teased a lot because of my big eyes. And when the lights would go off, they would ask, Wapi Lulu, fungua macho. They used to call me Machotochi. And that stuck for a while. I was Machotochi. I found this happening a lot, that when I am in a group of people, most of the time people would not pick me as the person who would get the work done, And then I get the work done. So before I used to think of it as a weakness, like, why don't people see that in me when I walk in the room? Or not even when I walk in the room, but when we are in a group, and why wouldn't they think I'd get the work done? But then I also have gotten to see it as a strength, because I am the person you'd least expect to do it, and I'm gonna get it done, and I know it. Yeah. There are many things. What's the funniest thing that my child has ever said or done that got me off guard? So the other day, she was explaining to a relative who's not Kenyan why she did not go to school. And then let's start. So the other day she was explaining to a relative who's not Kenyan why she did not go to school. And it was during the Mashujaa Day holiday. And so when she was asked, why haven't you gone to school today? She said, because there's Maandamano. And I found that very interesting, because last term on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they wouldn't go to school because of Maandamano. So I think it's stuck that every time she's not going to school, it's because of Maandamano. So she equates public holidays to that. Yeah. So this is how Wow Radio started. I was in radio first. Immediately after campus, I won a radio show. I didn't win a radio show. I won a contest. There was a radio show contest. They were looking for the next big radio host. And I got into it. A friend of mine told me about it, Sadia Omar, a friend from high school. And so I got in and I won. Couldn't believe it, but I did. And so I was doing the breakfast show. After that, I was like, okay, I went to school and did international relations, and maybe I should look for a job in that space, which I did and got that job. And as I was doing this job, it was exciting, it was interesting, but the love for radio was there. Most importantly, what happened in this space of development is that I realized that media has the people, development has these projects, but it lacks the people. It's the space of development does not do a very good job in amassing people and getting them to on board as fast as media does. And so I thought of creating Wow Radio, and that was the idea, that to get these two worlds together, constructive discussions, influencing policymakers, and then the thing came that, okay, what are we really influencing discussions on? And it was that the way we did life, or rather the way we do life now has changed. Right now we have a generation of politically conscious young people, who now are demanding for their rights. The marking scheme has changed, Now young people are not just to be heard, People are questioning, and people are asking for accountability. And so then that's when, I felt like indeed there is that need to have a radio station that brings these two people together. Not necessarily just for the, political awakening, but young people are woke politically, socially, economically. And this wokeness is that different way of doing life. That sometimes when you do not get somebody to show you that it's okay, this is vile vitu zinafanywa saizi, you always feel like you're falling back. I think all my guests have had interesting, inspirational stories and angles. I wouldn't say that it was something that caught me off guard, per se, but there was always something that I learned. Yeah. When we talked about starting businesses and we talked to Teddy on Serio, what was interesting is when he said, you don't need capital to start a business. And when you are starting a business, you should look at the problem you're solving, as opposed to, I'm starting a business to get money. And he talked about all these angel investors, and I felt like this is information that we don't get. We are an enterprising society of young people, but we don't really understand that there are people who can fund ideas. Yani hata iko tu kwa kichwa, you can sell that idea to someone and they can fund that idea. So I felt like that was very inspirational. I remember the conversation that we had with intergenerational with Coach CJ Atemo and Jerry. That was a Gen X and a Gen Z. And at that time, with the Gen Z tension, it felt like these two generations are at loggerheads. And Coach CJ Atemo said, how can we be at loggerheads when we are your parents? We raised you to be accountable. We raised you to speak up, So these two generations are not antagonistic, and I found that interesting. When we talked to HR, we talked to HR consultant Karen Olege, and the question, what she brought up was that sometimes, even now, HR needs to rethink its ways. First, to stop questioning career gaps, for instance, or why you had to take a break. HR will be like, okay, but we can see a 10-year gap here. This means you're not serious, but things have changed, and that should also change the way things are being done. I found that interesting. We had a conversation with Bob Mundro, and Bob Mundro, he says a lot of powerful things that I carry with me, but he said that as human beings, we are not perfect. So even as we thrive to be leaders, we should always remember that there is a threshold of imperfection, that sometimes we fall back on our own word, and that is okay. When we reach that point that we're falling back on our own word, we should not treat it as being as not being loyal to the cause, but is that because we're human beings, we're imperfect. We had a conversation with Willis Raburu. Willis Raburu was a former co-host of mine at the Rhythm Junction, and it was such a pleasure having that conversation with Willis. And Willis really highlighted the importance of support systems in our lives, and he mentioned a time when he really needed that, and his parents, his God, and his wife were those anchors for him. And then we had Lucy, and Lucy should be called Hope because you should read this book, a memoir, Hope Made a Way. And Lucy's story really is an inspirational one. And my biggest takeaway in Lucy's story, and make sure you tune into the podcast and make sure you see how she talks about she was really dragged through hell, contracting HIV and AIDS at 19, having a child at that age, losing that child. But at every step, Lucy walks with hope, Lucy walks with that determination that it's going to be better. And it has been better. Everything she spoke happened. She spoke of traveling and seeing the world, and that did happen. So that was my biggest take home for Lucy, is the importance of having that hope, and how she says that, how she thinks of her God is that God is her pal, God is her father, can never let her down. So when even things didn't work out for her, God was always there for her. So I don't think that there is yet a podcast that has taken me off guard, but the guests that we've had on this podcast have inspired me immensely. You see, when you're on radio, you're talking to a group of people that you can't see and they can't see you, And the idea is you're always told, don't talk to so many people, talk to one person. So I remember my first producer, Ndomobagi, would tell me, you don't switch on the mic and say, good morning, Kenya. You're not talking to Kenya. You're talking to one Kenyan, So you need to know who that one Kenyan is. What's their age? What did they probably have for breakfast? What are their aspirations? What are their dreams? And so it makes it easier for you to deliver that content to that one person. And that's what I am bringing on board, that connection, that skill of talking to that one person and learning to connect, and which I feel is really the essence of communication. You're old when people ask you what makes you youthful. Like, isn't it obvious? It's supposed to be my youth.
So the first question.
What's that one thing I do that makes me think? I'm even starting to think, what did I feel like when I was 18? But I'm still very goofy. So I'd say I think I'm still goofy. Like, when they say you don't grow up, you just learn how to behave in public. Yeah, I think I do a lot of that. Learn how to behave in public, but I'm still goofy. Yes. Oh my God. Why are people not tucking the shirts here again? Like, why are people not wearing skinny jeans again? But a trend that I don't understand. I wouldn't say I don't understand, but when I wear it and feel old, is a crop top. And I'm not gonna wear it because it just makes me feel like I'm pushing it. Yeah. Starting a podcast. Yes. That's it. It hasn't been easy. When I started out the podcast, then I was just doing audio, because hey, I'm a radio presenter. And then I was told that video is the thing. And then okay, Sarah, now let's get to it. So it's been learning through and through. And so I'd say it's starting a podcast. I read the newspaper, I watch the news, I watch Al Jazeera, and then I frequently have conversations with people who enjoy banter on international politics, what is happening to the world, where are we going as a country. I enjoy such conversations. So I have my people who we have calls in the morning. Did you see? Yeah. Lots of caffeine. That's funny. The secret to maintaining sanity is knowing that no 2 days are the same. I don't think that there is a schedule I've ever stuck to. There's nothing like a schedule, to be honest, because there are days when the nanny is sick. There are days when your daughter is sick. Your child is sick. There are days when she won't eat as fast as she's supposed to. So it's just rolling with the punches and still making sure that you deliver your best with the situation. It's not going to be perfect. Yeah. They connect a lot. I mean, international relations is understanding the politics of the world. And the politics is really who gets what, where, and when. And that is the politics of even our lives. Like, even as we wake up, that is the politics that we have to deal with. Media is the people. It tells the story of these people. And I feel like once you understand that with a background in international relations, it is easier for me to understand the why. Why are people behaving the way they're behaving? And then it becomes easier to tell their story. Yes, a lot. Because, just like I said, there is that knowledge that you have. So the conversations, I feel, are richer. Yeah. Maya Angelou. I loved Maya Angelou. Why I loved Maya Angelou is because she was who the hell she thought she was, and she didn't define herself by one thing. She was a poet, she was a baker, she was a teacher, she was a mother, and she made that clear, that I am not just this. I am many things. And I felt like I was struggling with that, especially if there's anybody who's done international relations or a cause like that. You understand that because you feel like you fit in the world, you understand the world, you understand how things are working. But then it becomes so hard for you to say who you are. So I did international relations. Who am I? Am I a diplomat? No, I'm not. International relations expert? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And so Maya Angelou allowed me to see that it is okay. It is okay to be so many things. And love that. So and because of that, her conversations were richer, her thinking, her perspective, and that would be a brain I would love to pick, Maya Angelou. When I think working in radio is like being a footballer, you know? Everybody who's watching the game is like, angeenda left. Hiyo ilikuwa clear goal. Hiyo angeishoot tu, you know? But the work that it takes to actually go on air and talk to people you don't see and be animated enough for them to imagine your expression, you know? We can be on radio and I can't nod when I am acknowledging something you said because nobody knows I've acknowledged it, you know? So I have to animate it enough to show my level of acknowledgement or dissatisfaction with a certain thing. And it's just the right amount of animation to the extent that you don't look goofy or you're not too much, and you've also delivered the point. So I feel like many people underestimate that ability to talk to so many people and resonate with them. And to radio presenters, upcoming radio presenters, I'd tell them, and this is something I used to do a lot, always keep it real. How do you keep it real? By sticking with the people. So you find that you've started a job like any job, and then now you get a car and now you're driving to work. Always ask yourself, who are my listeners? If your listeners are commuting by public means to wherever they are, once in a while commute, because that is where the story is. That is how you can relate to them, you know? So as a good radio presenter never grows too big. You grow because your career allows you to grow, but you should not grow too big for the work. Otherwise, you stop being relatable. Yeah. So this conception that people think is like, hey, it's easy. You're just somebody of stories. Plus, oh my God, I need to say this. Plus, radio is work. Do you know after you've spoken for 4 hours, you're tired? Ama for 3 hours, like you're really tired. Hautaki hata kuongea, mdomo imechoka, you know? Akili pia imechoka, because you have to think of something fresh every time you tell this person. Yeah, so it's work. One horse-sized duck,
yes,
or 100?
100 duck-sized horses.
100 duck-sized horses.
Why?
Because this one horse-sized duck can kick me. These two others are two little ones. Just kick you. You kick. You know, like you throw one kick, you've kicked 20. I'm going with the little horses. If I switch lives with somebody fictional, Cleopatra, I'd love to know how it feels like to bathe in milk. Yes. Yeah. I would rather forget those ones. Let's move on. Coffee, because I don't take coffee. Mandazi, smokies, and crepes. Oh, Trevor Noah. Yes, I think we'd be best friends. Yeah, baby.